Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by these great sponsors. Axon started out of a passion for keeping agriculture moving. Imagine having 100 years of tire and wheel knowledge in your back pocket the next time you sell a piece of ag equipment. To find more or become an Axon dealer, please visit axontire.com. This podcast is also brought to you by Valley Transportation. Valley Transportation has been hauling ag and construction equipment across the country for the past 33 years. Call Parker at 800-657-4910 or go to valleytransinc.com for all your trucking needs. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours. This podcast is also brought to you by Ag Direct. No matter how you buy your ag equipment, from a dealer, auction, or a private party, Ag Direct can help you finance it. You can even apply online at agdirect.com. Learn more about your financing options at agdirect.com.
What's rule number one? What's rule number one? Party? No, not party. No, it's not party.
Moving iron in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving iron time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving iron.
Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast. Markets with Shawn Hackett. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by Axon Tire, helping dealers move more iron for the past 100 years. For more information, go to axontire.com. Axon would like to give the loyal listeners of the Moving Iron Podcast a free baseball cap from Alliance. If you're interested in that, go to marketing at axontire.com and they will get one out to you. Just send them your details to the Moving Iron Podcast sent you and send that email to marketing at axontire.com. That will, they'll mail that to you and it'll be at your doorstep in no time flat. So Valley Transportation has been hauling ag and construction equipment across the country for the past 33 years. For more information, call Parker at 800-657-4910 for all your trucking needs at Valley Transportation. Our goal is to help you reach yours. And no matter how you buy your ag equipment, whether it's from a dealer, an auction, or a private party, Ag Direct can help you finance it. You can even apply online at agdirect.com. Learn more about your financing options at agdirect.com. Shawn Hackett is with Hackett Financial from Boca Raton, Florida, and he is nice enough to come on a couple times a week to talk about what's going on in the marketplace. Shawn, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great from sunny, warm South Kennewick, Washington.
That sounds tropical. I'm not gonna lie to you. That sounds nice.
It's unbelievable. Just the best ever.
You should go work for the Washington Travel Board or whatever, and because that little pitch right there makes me want to go there. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, come on down. There's plenty to do here.
Yeah. Well, not every place is Florida, Shawn. So I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
All right, lots of stuff going on here. Let's hit the planted or planted progress report here from last week. Corn right now is at 22% planted. The 5-year average is 50%. There's a 5% emergence, and it's about a 15% average where they should be for the 5-year deal. Soybeans are at 12%, should be at 24. Emergence is at 3, and it should be 4. Spring wheat, 27% planted, 47% on the 5-year average, 9% emerged, 15% average. And then the wheat is 33% headed. 40% of that should be headed according to the 5-year average. And there's about 29% that's rated good to excellent. That's up from last week at 27%. And lastly, cotton is 24% planted, and they're right on pace where they should be. So you've talked about this a lot on here, Shawn. Slow start to planting season. Your forecast for this week of being hot and drier and wind blowing. I've talked to guys in Iowa that 90-degree temperatures this week and windy and those kind of things. So it's going to dry things out pretty quick. Going to start making things start rolling. So I guess, looking at this, Shawn, what are your thoughts there? And then talk a little bit about hitting that planting window and is there, some of these projections that we're seeing now, you're already people jumping on the bandwagon of knocking down the average bushel before anything is even planted in most places. So I guess as you take a look at that, Shawn, what are your thoughts there?
It's interesting. If you look at when corn is planted, let's take the last 20 years. Late planted corn hasn't necessarily yielded lower yields. Oftentimes it's actually done better than early planted corn. It really is dependent on the sequence of weather events from the time that you planted. Early planted corn this year is actually going to do pretty bad considering what's took place after those early plantings. So it's, I wouldn't get too caught up with the plantings, at least in the modern age. I don't think it matters it matters, but not as much as people think. And in reality, it matters more the sequence of events thereafter. The planting pace right now for corn is the second worst, I think, in 30 years. But looking at the window ahead, as you correctly pointed out, the next 7 days, the next 10 days, we're really going to get a lot planted here. And the one area that's going to keep missing out is the northern plains. They're going to continue to get a lot of moisture. They're not going to get rolling. That's the one spot that's going to continue to be an issue. And if there's going to be a spot that's going to trigger legitimate worry about yield and prevent plant and all that sort of thing, it's going to be in northern plains. Let's say, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, that area up there. Then spring wheat's really in trouble. I'm really worried about spring wheat a lot. I just, I don't think they're going to get it done. I don't think we're going to get those acres planted. I think we could bring 1 million acres down, and then the yields will be impacted on spring wheat. So if I'm looking and thinking this through, and yes, the corn up there is going to be slow. If we're going to see, an area that's going to be stubbornly not getting it done, is that enough right now to be bullish factor for corn? No. Everyone's going to look at the progress being made everywhere else and saying, okay, we're fine. But for things like spring wheat, I don't know, Casey, it doesn't look good to me at all. I really think spring wheat can act very aberrantly, meaning I think it can go up quite a bit here on this endless delay planting, even if the other grain markets are flattened down. In fact, we're starting to see that happen a little bit. And spring wheat's really cheap relative to winter wheat. So I think when I look at all of what you just said, I think the takeaway is northern plains, spring wheat in trouble. And that to me is really what I think is going to continue to be the planting weather story for the next 2 to 3 weeks. So,
okay. All right. That makes sense. So, because the folks I've talked to in, western Minnesota into eastern North and South Dakota, all the way across to Dakota, it's just wet and cold. Like they can't get a break. It's just wet, cold. Ground temperature. A
few more inches coming. They'll get just inches or keep coming. I mean, what a change from last year when they couldn't get a drop of rain until August. Now they can't stop it from raining. It's a completely different year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is.
Absolutely crazy. All right, let's jump down here and talk about sticking with wheat here for a second. Hardwood winter wheat. They're kind of putting out some feelers that there's going to be this improving crop. Looks like a little bit of Kansas and some parts of West Texas and Oklahoma and those kind of things got some rain at a pretty critical time. So they're kind of throwing their hat in there. Hey, we're going to see a little bit better wheat than we thought. Thoughts there?
Yeah. I mean, look, on the margin, we're going to improve it. The devil is how much more can we improve it as bad as it's been? I mean, you can improve it. It will. I mean, it's better than getting nothing. But how much are we going to improve it? You really, no one can know that, Casey. I think it was that the wheat board goes out and does a crop tour late May. They're considered one of the gold standard for doing winter wheat crop tours, and they'll have a say. And of course, the ultimate arbiter is the combines rolling and bringing it in and kind of telling you what they're actually seeing. So right. I think we're done with the weather market for winter wheat. Like we're done with that, and now it's what is it? We're in the what is it stage now, and that's harder. It's harder to get the emotional response in the market from what is it, unless we just get shocking. The wheat board says, "Oh my gosh," and right. maybe they say that. By the way, I'm just saying right now we're in a wait and see mode. Weather market over. We're going to get enough rains to take that off the table, and we just have to see what the wheat board and what the combines tell us here, over the next 30 days. But usually the wheat board and the combines will say things are a little better than the worst case scenario than everyone was projecting. Maybe this year will be different, but typically we always find that the market is overly pessimistic on production and it comes out just a little bit better when it's all said and done. Time will tell whether that typical pathway will be followed, where this is an exception to the rule. So,
Yep. Okay. All right. Kind of a blip here. You and I were talking about this before we got started. The Malaysian government has cut palm oil export taxes, so they're ready to get some more stuff in there. They're I guess they had a 30-day supply, and they've run that out, and now they're looking to get back into the game. So I guess thoughts on that little blip there.
well, governments always try to do things to say to the people that they represent that we're doing something to fight inflation, that we're on your side, that we're for the average guy out there. I'm sorry, average person out there. I don't want to be politically incorrect.
Easy, Shawn.
Yeah. But the problem is they put this ban on palm oil, but they only have 30 days storage capabilities. I mean, they can only store it for 30 days, and then they can't store it anymore. So, all of a sudden, we're getting, closer to the 30-day window, and they go, oh, shoot, we're going to have to export this stuff. So now they're throttling back those export taxes and trying to say, the problem's been solved. We saved the day. See how good we are for all these people. And now and of course the price is so high, they need the money. Let's just put it on the table. I mean, they just need the money. So there was a big spike in bean oil on that initial announcement. And then, it was kind of a spike trade, and it came back down as the market realized this wasn't going to be could not be a long-term ban,
Yep. Okay. So just a short-term blip then, in your opinion, nothing, just a correction on their part, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, we had the rally, we came back off, and ultimately, bean oil is going to be driven by the renewable diesel policies of the U.S. I mean, let's just, bean oil is totally driven by that. If there's administration continues to be behind that and push that, then the demand for bean oil is going to remain good. If they back away from that because of food inflation or the pressure or the elections, I don't know what, then, and they back away from that, then bean oil has considerable downside. I don't know how to, I don't know how to weigh all that with what politicians are going to do or not do. I mean, we focus on weather, we focus on capital flows, and we try to focus on the fundamentals we think we can figure out and have a good ability to give people a good view of what's probably going to happen. What politicians are going to do is a very difficult thing to do. And other than to say that in the end, I do believe if there's enough pressure on food versus fuel, food will be what people are going to vote for. And I think the politicians eventually will have to concede to food over fuel, which would mean there might be a backing away of some support for the bean oil, renewable diesel kind of thing. And if that begins to look like that's happening, we could see some setback here in bean oil prices. That would be my general feeling about it, though.
Okay. All right. Last thing I want to hit on, just because of the time of year that we're in, we are either, depending on where you're at, either you're in the middle of cutting the first cut of alfalfa, or you're getting ready to cut that first cutting of alfalfa. Hay prices are really high right now, just because of drought situations in some key alfalfa growing areas and those kind of things, which has a direct, correlation with the price of milk. And if you look at price of milk here lately, price of milk has been bouncing between 22 and 25 bucks. I guess, Shawn, as you're looking at the dairy market right now, is that what is that price? Is that price? Is it a demand price, or is it just a lack of cattle production price? I mean, what is that? What's driving that price right now?
Well, the cost of production for dairy has gone up so dramatically. Depending on where you are, cost of production is anywhere from $20 to $22, depending on where you are, roughly. That's the cost of production. I mean, you just need that price. And that's a historically extremely high price, by the way.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at 23, 24, I mean, you're not making a little, but not a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's kept back the typical push to produce. And, when we had these prices back in 2014, they were making $5, $6, $7 profit, and so they just put the spigots on and the production is growing little, but and we did have that a demand thing coming, but the problem is prices now are too high for the consumer. and they're pulling back, just like they are in many things. And so, I hear all the time for the dairy producers I work with, that the price can't go down because we won't make any money. And I always tell them on a short-term basis, the market doesn't care whether you can make money. The consumer is going to go to the store and they're going to look at the price of whatever dairy products they're looking at. And if it's too expensive, they're going to buy less, and they don't give a hoot whether you're making money or not. They're looking out for themselves. That's just the way it is. Yep. And so I'm worried right now that we're getting a pullback in consumer demand that's going to last into the midsummer. And on top of it, we have these ongoing endless lockdowns in China of between 3 to 500 million people, depending upon who you believe. And the dairy demand out of China is way down. Dairy prices in China are way down. And GDT prices, which is the 2-week auction price that is a measure for China's demand, has been down big the last couple of auctions. So I think we have a demand problem. And so I think these prices are going to come down, probably, to that 19-20 support. And producers on average are going to lose some money. But that's going to be the necessary ingredient, Casey, to bring the production back down. And then at some point, right, unless China expects to have 500 million people shut down forever, they're going to have the moment where they say, all right, we're going to reopen everything. And all these 500 million people are going to unlock, they're going to take the bolts off the doors, let them out, and everyone's going to start doing something, going back to work, buying something, instead of waiting for the delivery from their app in the morning that the government decides what their rations are for the day. And so when that happens, Casey, the demand for dairy and the demand for beef and the demand for pork is going to go through the roof this fall. And so this, it's kind of a down up scenario. So we think we could be set up for a pretty wild situation for the livestock sector, including dairy, in terms of demand that could lead to a big surge of prices after we get this air pocket of demand out of the way between now and, let's say, midsummer. So I think dairy is rolling over. If you look at a price chart, we've been as rounding top, and now we're coming down, and I think we're heading lower right now. And I think that's just so it's a negative view for the near term, but I'm actually pretty excited about what fall prices could look like. And dairymen need to be making sure they have done enough protection to the downside to get through the summer, but keep your top side open for the fall and the winter. I think they could be really in a good spot to really finally, if we get, I've had a long-standing forecast for $30 milk, Casey, and I think that's still on the table, and that would give them the kind of profits they're looking for to put some serious equity back in the business. So keep your powder dry on the cash if you're a dairy producer, but make sure you can get through the summer without leaching too much money away. So
right on. Okay. Well, Shawn, good stuff as usual. Folks want to reach out to you and get more information about what you're doing at Hackett Financial. What's the best way to do that?
Our website is Hackett, HACKETT, advisors.com. All kinds of information on there. Let your listeners know what we do, how we do it, and if we can be of service.
Right on. I am Casey Seymour with Moving Iron Podcast. Make sure you check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's where you find the latest editions of the Moving Iron Podcast. Also go to my LinkedIn page at Moving Iron Podcast and my YouTube channel at Moving Iron YouTube channel. So check that out. Looking for subscribers over there. So if you like what I'm doing here, subscribe, smash the like button. That's what you're supposed to say, Shawn. So now to get more people involved with that by smashing the like button. So if you guys do that, go check out my website, MovingIronLLC.com, where you find all the information about the Moving Iron Summit coming up in Nashville, Tennessee. That's September 6th, 7th, and 8th. Shawn will be there giving his forecast as to what's going on. So Shawn, like we've talked about here, we're moving from a La Nina to El Nino cycle. Big changes coming, and we'll have a pretty good window, I guess, as we move into that time frame.
Yeah, I mean, late summer into the early fall will be a really interesting time because a lot of the metrics and teleconnections and cycles that we follow are going to really start to be very clear, and we're going to start to get some very clear evidence of what's going to happen, what the changes are going to look like, who's going to benefit, who's not going to benefit, and which markets will be in arm's way either way. But it'll be a really good time because that it'll be really right just as the El Nino pattern is going to be kicking in. So as always, you picked a remarkably good time for your summit. So
that's what I do, Shawn. I look at the weather patterns and try to decide when I'm going to do these things. So I'm excited about that. It's going to work out again for me, it looks like.
Yeah.
All right, Shawn, appreciate you being on the podcast, man.
Thanks, Casey. Have a super day.
Right on, man. I'm Casey Seymour, Shawn Hackett, Smooth Smart, folks. Out. Axon Tire is going to have more tips, tricks, and client advice throughout the year and in September at the Moving Iron Summit in Nashville. If you're looking to sign up for the event, please head over to MovingIronLLC.com. We hope to see you there. Valley Transportation has been hauling ag and construction equipment across the country for the past 33 years. Call Parker at 800-657-4910 or go to valleytransitinc.com for all of your trucking needs. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours. And no matter how you buy ag equipment from a dealer, auction, or a private party, AgDirect can help you finance it. You can even apply online at agdirect.com. Learn more about your financing options at agdirect.com.
Moving higher in the 21st century. Hardworking people working hard for